the biggest PUBG esports event ever, the PUBG Global Invitational S. I'm your host, Shin Choi, and I'm gonna be with you on our weekly PGI.S show. So first, I know you're all curious about what weekly PGI.S show is about. Basically, we will be catching you up to speed on all the weekly news of PGI.S. But since this is our first episode, so we will start by giving you some basic information about the event and how it will proceed and everything you need to know about the participating teams. So what's the first thing we should talk about? The prize money and the format. The total prize money for PGI.S is $3.5 million, but it just gets even bigger. You know about the PUBG items that are on sale during the PGI.S, right? Well, 30% of profit from those items will be distributed to the teams participating in PGI.S. That means that the more items you buy, the more prize money will go to the participating teams. Cool. So now it's time to tell you how to win the prize money. PGI.S will happen on a weekly basis with each week's schedule largely divided into two parts. Weekly survival on weekdays and weekly final on weekends. Complicated already? We've just started. But don't worry, all you have to do is keep watching weekly PGI.S, then you will understand everything. Probably. Through 3 days of ranked match, which were held from February 5th to 7th, each team has determined their rank for the weekly survival game. The top 16 from this match will compete in the first weekly survival. And the team that wins the chicken dinner from here will advance straight to the weekly final on the weekend. Then, other team will take the spot of this graduated team, and this is where you can see the reason for having rankings. The next highest ranking team will come and play, and the next team come and play, and so on, until there are a total of 16 teams advancing to the weekly final. When the 16 teams are decided, the weekly final will begin. There will be a total of 10 matches, and only the first to fourth place will win the prize money. After that, the schedule repeats as we mentioned earlier. Finally, when PGI.S is over, the team with the most prize money wins. Sounds easy, right? There's one more thing for us to talk about. The prize money for weekly final increases. It means that the slow starters always have the chance to turn the tide if they do well in the second half. So I hope all the 32 teams will try their best until the very end. After 3 weeks of this weekly series, there's something special waiting for us. There will be an event match called Survival Tournament. Basically, it's going to be way different from what we used to do. A very special type of match is being prepared. Want to know more? I can give everything right away, but keep watching weekly PGI.S for more info. We haven't talked about the teams participating in PGI.S yet. I love to break things down for you, but that's supposed to be done by the professionals, right? So I think everyone will be very pleased to see we have Annie and Paper Thin. Say hi, guys!
Hi PUBG Sports fans, I'm your PUBG Sports guide Annie, and we are finally back with another PUBG Sports news, this time with PGI.S news, and I'm here with Paper Thin.
It's good to be back, guys. We had a nice winter break, but we're back just in time for PGI.S.
So we're here to break down 32 teams participating in PGI.S. So we have 7 teams from Europe, 6 teams from China, 5 teams from Southeast Asia, 4 teams each from North America and South Korea, and 2 teams each from Latin America, Japan, and Chinese Taipei.
Yeah, so 10 teams from Japan, China, and Chinese Taipei will be participating online just like they did at PCS Asia.
So today we're going to talk about how these teams have performed in 2020 in PCS events and after PCS events. So let's talk about European region with 7 teams. I think we have to start with Northern Lights. Well, maybe I have to say Virtus Pro because they were picked up by this big organization. They won 2 titles in last PCS events. How do you think they'll perform in PGI.S?
Well, they were definitely the strongest performing team in Europe in 2020, so the hopes are high for them. They got second at DreamHack winner. I think coming into this, they're definitely the favorite from Europe in my opinion. FaZe Clan as well is going to be right up there as always. They're so strong. Both teams have been scrimming well as well, so I'm really looking forward to seeing them perform.
Yeah, if FaZe can show another FaZe Sunday, because weekly final is happening on weekends, they will have a chance to win PGI.S for sure. What about Team Liquid? Because they have been really performing consistently last year. Well, they kind of struggled in PGC, but how do you see?
Yeah, they've been performing great. They haven't broken through with a win, but they're ultra consistent. They're scrimming very well. 𝗙𝗶𝗃𝗹 has been a nice addition to the team, so I'm really looking forward to seeing them perform. We can't forget about the other EU teams as well. I mean, TSM, Na'Vi, ENCE, DA. These guys are all really, really strong rosters. They're great performers, mechanically gifted players. I expect big things out of them.
So let's move on to the next region, China. Paper, do you know the phrase warring states period?
Yeah, I'm afraid they didn't teach us that in US schools.
Yeah, so it was a period when the largest number of countries were established in China. So in other words, there weren't a dominant power there. So it was really similar to what happened in 2020 PUBG esports in China. The Chinese team won all PCS events last year, but it was all different teams. So let's start with 𝗪𝗲𝗏𝗪 who won PCS Asia Charity Showdown. By winning that event, they were very consistent among last year's PCS events.
Yeah, and in general, 𝗪𝗲𝗏𝗪 showed themselves to be one of the strongest, if not the strongest team in China throughout all of 2020, coming into this looking good still. Of course, you wouldn't be able to talk about China without talking about infantry now. That team, of course, showed us incredible performances in 2020. I don't think anyone's going to forget the 24-kill game at PCS2 Asia. These guys are absolutely insane. They've fallen off a little bit recently, though.
Yeah, but we can't deny that they rocked last year in PCS Asia events. What about TSG and MCG? They've won the later part of PCS events.
Yeah, so I think for TSG, 911 did leave the team, but 𝗪𝗲𝗏 has come in. He's been playing very good for them in scrims. They're a very strong Miramar team, so you definitely can't count them out. MCG is really splashing onto the scene now. They look so good in recent events. They've been winning a ton of stuff across Asia. With Summer coming in as their play caller, the former VC gaming leader, they look incredibly strong.
So we really have to talk about 4AM. They didn't win the PCS event, but they know how to play in global events, so I'm expecting a lot from them. How do you see?
Yeah, I mean, 4AM really seems to show up at the biggest stages. Forever continues to be an incredible player with 𝗪𝗏𝗏 still leading the way. They just find ways to do well when the pressure's on.
In Southeast Asia, we really have to talk about two teams. First is 𝗪𝗲𝗏 United Esports. This team was always your peak, right?
Yeah, they're really good. They play from the edge better than maybe anyone in the world. I really like watching them play, and of course the one time I didn't pick them, they ended up winning their event, so I have really high hopes for 𝗪𝗏𝗏. I'm really, I think, one of the dark horse teams, so to speak.
What about LG Divine? Because they did participate in PGC 2019, and they are a representing team in Vietnam.
Yeah, they're very consistent. They have really good players that have been playing for quite some time, and it's really exciting to finally get to see this Divine squad on a global stage. They've had some issues in the past getting to the events, and now they're here, and I'm really curious to see what they can do.
So now it's time for North America. So Oath Gaming won the first PCS North America event. How do you think about this team?
They're really strong top to bottom, very talented players, a young team but mechanically gifted. They absolutely could do things. I've really been impressed with them, not just in PCS but also in the scrims leading up to this event. You also can't talk about NA without talking about Shoot to Kill, consistently one of the best teams there. They won a PCS finally with that incredible finish against Wildcard Gaming in the very last game of PCS1. Since then they've slipped a little bit, but I think good coaching and good play should bring them good results.
Yeah, I'm sure that they have marked their name on PUBG Sports fans after that match, but I think Sonics is kind of best team in North America currently because they have won PCS 2 and 3 with huge score gap. How do you think about this team?
They're great. I mean, they're really, really good right now. The consistency from this team is really impressive. Bringing in 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, who has been a strong fragger in the NPL, but now he's finally on a solid team that's built around him, and they look to be incredibly explosive. This team can really bring it. It's also really exciting to have LATAM here. In particular, we need to highlight Metagaming. They have dominated LATAM in 2020 on the back of Sparking, an absolutely ridiculous player from that region.
So I heard that Wicked joined this team. I think this is a win-win for the player and the team because Wicked know how to play in global events.
Yeah, absolutely. And they are communicating in English, and Wicked has mentioned that he's having a little bit of struggle with it.
When don't not car
Or not?
come
Okay.
across your
Ah.
event?
Yeah.
But I think they'll get it together in time. And also it was really cool. They put together a jersey for Wicked that had the team name Meta Gaming in Korean, so that was really kind of a nice touch.
So while Chinese teams were dominating PCS events, like relatively Chinese Taipei, Japan, and Korean teams weren't doing well last year.
So Detonation Gaming White has been performing consistently well in Japan, and coming into the PWS, I had some high hopes for them. They're a mechanically gifted team. They still have some work to do, but really they've been looking better and better as time goes on.
I was also impressive about the K7 Esports performance because they ranked 9th among all that strong Korean team. How do you see?
Yeah, they looked good. They had some really impressive rounds, to be honest, during the PWS, including in the finals. So I'm excited to see what they can do. They really seem to be one of the best teams in Asia outside of China and Korea.
So did you expect Africa Freaks to win PWS?
I definitely thought they were a contender for sure. This new roster they've put together is extremely strong, maybe the deepest top to bottom in Korea right now.
So T1 also experienced this huge roster change, but even with the strong team members, they have struggled in PWS preseason. How do you see?
Yeah, they've been struggling. It's been really hard for them to kind of make the right decisions at times. Their team fighting seems to be a little off, and it's a problem that is not just in their big stage performances, but also in scrims and other things. So I'm really keen to see them improve, but it's going to have to be a really quick improvement for them to do well at PGI.S.
And we have two teams left, 𝗪𝗲𝗶𝗃 and Gen.G. 𝗪𝗲𝗶𝗃 is a previous OGN Entus, and Gen.G is the previous champion of PGC 2019. How do you see these teams?
Yeah, I mean, I think these are two of the favorites coming out of Korea for sure. I think 𝗪𝗲𝗶𝗃 has been the most consistent team maybe in the world throughout all of PUBG esports history. They're incredibly strong. Sungjong is such a good leader. Gen.G, with bringing Esther back, really seems to have found their mojo again, that strength they showed at PGC when they won the World Championship.
This is the first and last time for us to participate in weekly PGI.S, but we'll be back with something else, so stay tuned for every content that we present and also every matches for PGI.S.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this event. It's the first time we get to see teams from across the world fighting against each other in over a year. I mean, I can't wait. All the teams have improved so much over 2020. I'm so impressed with what I've seen. Can't wait to commentate this event and really bring you guys some awesome PUBG esports action.
So don't forget to stay tuned for all PGI.S events. Bye!
Thank you, Lainey and Paper Thin. Although it's our last time to see them in weekly PGI.S, we have special guests waiting for you in the future. So, if you're looking for a summary of every weekly survival and final games and interviews with the winning teams of each weekly final, make sure to watch every Tuesday on weekly PGI.S. Also, there will be a talk show that captures special moments of PGI.S that can be seen every Saturday at 6 p.m. through PGI.S. And of course, all of those times are in Korean time. That's all for today. We will be back next week with the next episode of Weekly PGI.S. See you again. Bye-bye.